I think the second most interesting game in the Big Ten has to be the one that happened in Chicago. Northwestern upset win over Maryland.
Jeez, man.
Not Chicago technically, right?
Evanston, but
Evanston.
Chicagoland area.
Close enough. 33-27 was the final score. We had this one on. I mean, Talia Tungavailoa threw the ball 47 times. He threw his 3 touchdowns, but just enough mistakes and enough big plays, Joshua, by Northwestern. I mean, what are they right now? What did we say? They're
4-4.
4-4.
I mean,
incredible.
Legit shot to make a bowl.
Maybe the most surprising team. I think maybe it's not a maybe. The most surprising team in the Big Ten. Rutgers is up there.
Yeah.
But the fact that they won one game last year.
This is the most surprising.
With the chaos that went on.
Yes.
And this is to start the season.
Right.
It's not like it took place in the offseason or anything like that. This took place right before season.
A coach who has never been a coordinator in Division I is your head coach.
He might be coach of the year in the Big Ten. I'm not, again, it's not trying to be funny. I love what Greg Schiano's done. You can go through the line and look at some of the other coaching performances, certainly. But, I mean, what David Braun has done in the circumstances that he was handed, never expected to be a coach at this level, does not have that experience, taking over a program that is in controversy and turmoil. And they say, you know what, we're just going to play ball and we're going to do better than we did a year ago. That's ridiculous to me.
It's unbelievable. And also the fact that, look, Maryland's a team that we thought could compete in the Big Ten East.
Got off to a hot start.
It got off to a hot start, but we've seen this episode happen time and time again, right?
Day.
In the past, we thought it was just because the competition got stiffer.
Right.
But, I mean, that was not the case today.
Well, no, I mean, you look at their losses, too, not to cut you off, but Illinois is a team that you should beat.
Right.
Northwestern is a team that you should beat.
Right.
Like, this is – the wheels have fallen off in many ways.
And it's unfortunate, but you have to give credit for Northwestern.
A ton of credit.
What this program has done, how they've pulled themselves out of the depths of turmoil, right? And it's challenging not only as a coaching staff, but it's challenging as a player to be on that team, to dedicate yourself the way that you have to a program and to stick with it and not just take the easy way out. Maybe
I say it every week, I'd have quit. Like, mentally, I'd have been checked out.
Right, because you don't want to answer those questions day in and day out. You don't want to have to say, look, we know we have a black cloud right now over our program, and every single media outlet is covering the negativity, but there's dudes there that have bought in.
Yes.
There's guys that are committed to Northwestern. And the fact right now that they're 4-4 is incredible to me. And it speaks to the leadership. It speaks to those young men that are there. It speaks to their coach.
Yeah.
And what they've been able to do.
Let me say this, too. I mean, we watched in week 1 where they got blown out by Rutgers. Right. And I was sitting there, and I was like, there's no shot. There is no shot for this football team. And they have fought tooth and nail every week. And now we're talking about potentially going to a bowl for them.
And nobody in the media wanted to touch that team.
Nobody
wanted to touch that team.
No.
Nobody wanted to cover that team. Nobody wanted to sit there. But now they're sitting there and they're competing week in and week out, and they go out and get a huge victory over Maryland.
And their next game against Iowa at Wrigley Field will be exclusively.
I'll tell you, offensively, don't sleep on them either.
Bruh, I mean, Brendan Sullivan, I don't know how much he was expecting to be playing this year.
Right. Has played extraordinarily well.
Ben Bryant got hurt, and he was spinning the rock today. 70% completion, 265 yards, a couple of touchdowns.
And he was
spin that rock, dog.
And he was their leading rusher, 14 carries for 56 yards.
Go off, young man.
So Northwestern.
Bang the drum.
Bang the drum for them. They're at Iowa at Wrigley Field, like I just mentioned, exclusively on Peacock, $5.99 a month. It's the best deal in streaming. It is the best deal in streaming.
Best deal.
By far. You can watch Housewives on there too.
And
you like
can
that.
get any reality television.
Yeah.
And you know that Josh will love
That's what I'm here for.
Yeah.
So they got Iowa. They got Wisconsin. That's going to be tough.
Who's Maryland got next week?
But then hold on. But then they got Purdue, and then they got Illinois. I'm looking for 2 more wins for Northwestern to get them bowl eligible.
You could talk yourself into 3 of those 4. And I think 2 is something that
is legit.
Yeah. That's crazy.
It's wild to think about.
I hope, you know what? I hope for that program that they do.
I do too. I have become a fan because of the way that they have stood in the face of adversity. Because I don't see.
You talk about resiliency,
brother. I would not be that guy in that locker room. Like, and I was a guy who was always committed. That to me would have I'd given myself an excuse to check out.
It would have shaken me to the core.
Yeah.
because you're sitting there going, where do we go from here?
Yep.
Yeah.
Right before season.
Right before the season.
Yeah. And I think on the other end of it, you guys already mentioned it, like Maryland, like this is dark times for them.
They got to get out their own damn way.
They're in like danger zone right now for
it is
coaches, and this is like gut check time for them.
Well, the hard part for Maryland is that history has repeated itself.
Yep.
And it's almost like even the players on the team, how can we overcome what we've done in the past and not make it a reality now?
Yep.
But the reality keeps coming up year in and year out.
Yeah.
And it's tough, because it's just the reality of what's happened like throughout the tenure.
Totally.
So let me throw this at you. If I would have told you that Maryland and Northwestern would have had the same number of explosive passes and explosive runs in the same game, you wouldn't have believed me.
No,
because of what Maryland's offense was and what they were supposed to be,
right,
and the improvements that they had on defense, no doubt, and what Northwestern was coming into this game, what their offense and defense was supposed to be. And on explosive passes, Northwestern 7 of them, Maryland 7 of them. Northwestern outgained them on the explosives. Like that, to me, things go wrong, and for it feels like when things go wrong for Maryland, there's nothing that stops it. If that makes sense, it just piles up.
Terps being Terps, though.
Man.
Terps v Terps. We talked about it week 2, and it's